Hey moms, I am so excited because today we have Jessica with us, and Jessica is actually from Massachusetts. So as you know, we are interviewing one mom per state out of our group, just to kind of help out those of you that are across the country that might be looking at Arizona as a place to move. And we're going to offer this as sort of a bit of a resource to you so you can help prepare as best you can. These are the moms that have gone through it, you guys. So Jessica, again, super excited to have you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you're from Massachusetts, which, bless your heart, I am from New Hampshire, so we are both New England girls. So where exactly in Mass are you from?
I grew up in Boston, which is about 45 minutes west of Boston.
Right on. So everybody knows Boston, pretty big city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you move to Arizona?
I moved here in October of 2005.
Oh, wow. So you've been here for a little while.
For a while, yeah.
I moved about a year before you. So I feel like a native at this point.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Arizona?
It's kind of a weird, complicated story. My mother was adopted, and in the 90s, she found her birth mother out in Arizona, north of Phoenix. So we started visiting when I was a teenager, and my parents worked in like the high-tech world, and all those jobs left the Boston area. So they found themselves unemployed and ready for a fresh start. So when I was in college, they decided to move out to Arizona. And then I came out here to do a internship for my master's degree and decided to stay.
Yeah, because sun, snow. It's not a tough choice, is it?
No, not at all.
About how long did it take you to move?
Well, it's funny. My mom flew to Boston, and we got in my tiny little car and drove out to Arizona. It took us 5 days, but the packing and everything, you know how that goes. It took me a while. So I would say my whole move probably took 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's not too bad. When did you start making arrangements? Like you made a decision and then you had to start arranging things. I mean, like every last detail.
Well, I knew about 6 months ahead of time that I was going to come out here for my clinical. I had a feeling that I was going to end up staying. So I probably started planning about 6 months before I moved. I had to break my lease back in Boston. I was living in the city because I went to college in Boston. So I had my lease, but give notice at my apartment and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of lucky. I just moved in with my parents temporarily when I moved out here.
Oh, nice. So you didn't have to do the whole find a place to live junk.
Yeah, but that was interesting, going from living on my own for 5-6 years in the city to moving in with my parents for 6 years.
I bet it was quite an adjustment. It's easy to adjust out of that. Not so easy to adjust back into it.
Right.
Oh, too funny. Were there any special arrangements that you can remember, because it's a while back, that you did have to make? I know it was kind of a little bit easier for you because you already had, your parents were already established out here, but any special arrangements that you can recall?
Everything was, like you said, it was easy for me. My parents were already kind of established here for about a year when I came out here. I don't remember that I had to make any special arrangements because things were pretty much set up for me. So it was easy. Other than when about 2 months after I moved, I kind of decided I was going to stay. So, changing your car insurance and registration, all that normal stuff that comes along with moving. So that happened pretty easily.
That's less expensive here than in Boston, right?
So car insurance was more expensive here.
Really? Oh, because you have to have full coverage here, and back home I don't think we had to.
I forget what the reason was. I think they told me there was more car theft here, so they had my insurance was going to be out, which I lived in like a really kind of high crime area of Boston. But yeah, my insurance and registration for sure, but insurance was a little bit more expensive.
Interesting. So you didn't have kids back then?
Nope, no kids.
You've got kids now?
I do. I have 2 boys. I have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Oh, awesome. So put yourself back in those shoes as a mom,
Okay.
anything that you can suggest to our moms that are looking to move from Massachusetts as far as preparing for childcare or schools, or any sort of advice that you might have or resources you can offer?
So I think Facebook and social media, it's a really cool thing. There's so many moms groups on Facebook, like specific for Arizona. There's even ones that are like specific to the East Valley or the West Valley. I live in the East Valley. I live in East Mesa. So I think trying to a lot of them are secret but I think trying to find like some groups where you can talk to other moms and find out about different neighborhoods or different schools. The big difference here, uh, there's so many choices with schools. I mean, you have like your city public schools, but then there's, at least in my area, there's a charter. I think I have 5 charter schools within a 5-mile radius to where we live. So there's so many choices, and it's overwhelming. I mean, even being here for a long time, the school choice kind of gets a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So maybe trying to seek out those mom groups or dad groups or whatever, and talk to people that already live here. I think social media, Facebook, it makes it a little bit easier than it would have, 15 or 13 years ago when I moved, if we didn't have that. Facebook's a much different world than it was back then.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another, a website, just to throw that out there, that I know a lot of moms are having some good luck with, because the school thing, you're so right, I'm dealing with it right now, is the most overwhelming thing. We got Montessori schools, we got charter schools, we got public schools, private schools, home schools. There's so much stuff. But greatschools.org has been really helpful to me and a couple of my friends, just in terms of looking at the different rankings and the test scores and all of that stuff. There's just so much to look at. But that has been really helpful. What's the biggest difference that you've discovered between your home state and Arizona?
Well, the obvious choice is the weather. When it gets really hot here, I remind myself that back home, we spend, 5 or 6 months of the year hibernated inside, unless you're a big skier or snowboarder, because it's so cold and snowy and kind of nasty at times. And here there's lots of indoor activities that you can do in the summer to get out of the heat. So the weather is a big difference. And then, I mean, in the winter here, you don't have like the snow activities, but you can drive an hour and a half and be in the snow.
Yep.
There's just a wide range of kind of terrain, I guess, or, if you want to see green, you just have to drive, an hour and a half or so. Whereas back in Boston, everything's green. My husband, when I'm taking him back there, he's like, "What? I don't understand. Everything's green. You can't see the horizon. Where are the mountains?" And he's a native to Arizona, so
Gotcha. So very different scenery back there.
Very, very different. And there's a lot of, I've only been a mom here, so it's hard for me to really compare to back in Massachusetts, but there's so many activities for kids here, so many museums, and there are a lot of museums back in Boston and Massachusetts, but there's always something going on here. There's always things that you can get your family and your kids involved in, so it's pretty cool. It's very family oriented here.
Totally agree. 100% agree with that. And another thing that comes to mind too is, so I'm from New Hampshire, which is just north of where you're from, a couple hours, but just north, and I'm fairly familiar with Boston. And what I really appreciated when I moved out here is that it's a grid. So when you're out there driving, everything's a grid. While in Boston, it's like old goat paths or something.
Right.
And it's like, turn here, go there, know this landmark. And back east growing up there, we're used to that.
Right.
But out here and everything's so easy. And
so here, it's hard to get lost. I think it's hard to get lost here because everything is just the freeways are all gridded, and as long as you know your directions, which some people don't, but as long as you know your directions, it's pretty hard to get lost. The other thing is it's interesting the traffic patterns here. Depending on the time of year, traffic is completely different. I used to commute from East Mesa to Phoenix and sometimes even Peoria I would drive out to. And in the summer, my commute was like nothing. In the fall and the winter, it doubled because the traffic just explodes. at different times of the year. So that's a good thing to know. I mean, I would have never known that when I first came out here. So it's really interesting. The traffic, I guess it's so spread out here. I would never expect traffic to be kind of as tight as it is sometimes, but we definitely have our traffic issues sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And it's all the snowbirds. So it's our season here during the fall and winter where it's a destination state and people want to come and visit. And whereas in Massachusetts, they're leaving.
Yeah.
Too funny. Is there a part of town or a part of the state that's most like your home state in terms of maybe people, sports teams, scenery, any Pats bars you like to hit?
It's really funny. So right after the Red Sox won the World Series, like the next weekend, our friends and I, we were going out to dinner, and we just happened to go to, I think it's called Waldo's. It's a barbecue place, but this is the Waldo's in Gilbert. And I walk in and we sit down, and it's totally decorated in Red Sox stuff.
Nice.
Are you guys just decorated like this because the World Series just happened? They said, no, we're a Red Sox bar. And I was so excited. And, we're not far from Gilbert at all. So there's totally a Red Sox place to go to cheer them on next year.
Like, people.
I was like, are people here from Boston? They're like, no, DirecTV just needed us to pick a team when we got our package. So the owner said he didn't know of any Red Sox bars, so he picked the Red Sox, which I think is awesome. So we'll definitely frequent there. I've made my kids Red Sox fans, my husband not so much. But my kids support the Patriots and the Red Sox and all Boston teams all the way. So, but honestly, I think that's the only like Boston geared place that I've found so far. It's hard. I love going up north because like Flagstaff area, it kind of reminds me of where I grew up. I mean, the town that I grew up is not far outside of Boston, but it's, very small town, and very green. So Flagstaff kind of reminds me of back home a bit. So I like going up north. We tend to go up there every winter for a weekend or two and
visit the snow. It's nice to visit.
It's nice to like to visit the snow. I don't like to shovel it or brings back too many bad memories. But right. Good. I mean, the snow is beautiful, and my kids, it's such a novelty to them to see snow. We're actually taking them up to Phoenix for the North Pole experience. In 2 weeks, it's a surprise, but I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of snow up there because my little guy, I don't think he's only seen snow like once and he won't remember it. So hopefully there'll be a little bit of snow that we can find.
Awesome. So the North Pole experience is the one in Flagstaff, and then there's another one that's just north of that, and that's the Polar Express. I haven't been on that one yet.
We haven't done the Polar Express, but we did the North Pole experience with our older son when he was 4, and it was so much fun. It's really cool. So we're excited to do it again this year.
Oh, yay. And you get to wear a winter jacket for a couple of days, and you can pretend like you're home and then come back. Love it. What do you wish you knew? What do you wish? Sorry, can't even talk today. What do you wish you knew before moving here that you know now?
I think like going back to the traffic type stuff.
That's big.
It's really spread out here. Living in Mesa, you can live in East Mesa, work in West Mesa, and your commute is still like 30 minutes. So, just kind of knowing the area a little bit better and how the traffic works, I think that's helpful. I don't know, before I moved, I had visited out here so many times, so I had a little bit of an idea of how it was, and just to be prepared for that first summer is gonna kill you.
Exactly. And scorpions.
Oh my gosh, scorpions. I can't. Our last house we had scorpions, and there's no rhyme or reason to them. You can research your neighborhood all you want if are there scorpions in that neighborhood, but they hit some houses and they don't hit other houses, and it's crazy because our last house, neither of our neighbors ever had scorpions, and we had we probably find at least one a month some years.
Oh wow. So, and there's things you can do. So if you have a problem, there's definitely things.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, once we started seeing them more frequently, we just got a Terminex, or I don't know, I don't remember who we did, but they took care of it, and but the first couple that you see are definitely a little scary.
It freaks you out a little bit. I know, me too. And the cool thing though that I learned, and you make up so much stuff in your head when you don't know stuff, you know what I mean? And the cool thing that I learned was, okay, look, they don't attack. At least they don't attack. Like, you know, you're coming upon them. Exactly. The only reason you're going to get stung is because you're coming upon them. Like, you're, you know, cramping their style. Yeah. So that helped me breathe a little bit easier. Like, okay, they're not going to just come attack me at night while I'm, you know, sleeping and sting my face off.
Right.
Yeah. So, just lastly, any advice you'd like to offer for families looking to move to Arizona from Mass?
Well, leave your winter coats behind unless you want to drive up north.
You can rent winter clothes here. I never did that.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting. Invest in flip-flops because you can wear them pretty much year round. See, the biggest thing that I miss, and I didn't realize I would miss it so much, is the ocean. I crave the ocean, but honestly, just it's easy to remember. It's only a 5-hour drive away. It's not far. So if you're craving the sound of the ocean, you can get there pretty quickly from here. I know we're landlocked, but it's not too far. And just, you know, be prepared to be able to be outside a lot more, especially during the winter, and find all these cool places to hike. And I mean, I've been here 13 years and I still discover new things around, and the mountains are really beautiful. So it's cool to see something different that you don't see anything like out in Massachusetts.
Totally agree. It's so funny. I even still have family members to this day, and I've been out here a year longer than you have, that think it's just flat sand everywhere. And I'm like, well, no, we actually have like really beautiful, you know, mountains, and there's tons of hiking and and they don't believe me for whatever reason.
Right.
Another thing too, just going back to the water, is we have some pretty legit lakes around here.
Sure. Yep. Definitely.
So yeah, the sound of the ocean, I totally get it. The waves, there's just nothing like it. But if you're totally jonesing for the water and you need to hit that water, you can get there pretty quick.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great place. So.
Yes, it totally is. I agree. And that's why I've been here so long. Well, awesome, Jessica. I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about you and about your move from Massachusetts.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.